Okay, excellent. Well, good morning, everyone. It's an honour to be here. Thank you very much, Avo, for inviting us to take part in the meeting. I think Avo has introduced me, but I'm Katie Lloyd-Wilkinson, and in my role here as Business Development Manager, I get the pleasure of working hand in hand with many of our talented infrastructure customers throughout the whole of the European region. Now, there's many priorities in all of our businesses right now, and there's many things that we could be doing. And you decided to spend time with us here at Esri today. So we want to say thank you. Getting together is an opportunity for you to learn and for us to learn about you. We're deeply grateful, so thank you very much for dedicating time to being here today. You are working on virtually all of the world's biggest challenges. We all know the world's changing at a rapid rate. We've got weather-related events here in Europe, like the floods that are happening in Spain, which makes those types of things really real for us. Whilst at the same time, there's the electrification of society and the demands on the modern grid are changing. We've got renewable energy sources, prosumers and consumers, meaning the digital grid is increasingly challenging. But your work as infrastructure providers is having to address many of the world's biggest challenges. As GIS professionals, we all believe that geography is one of the ways to solve these challenges. So at Esri, we believe that geography and spatial thinking will solve and change the world. We believe that the geographic approach and the way of thinking and problem solving that integrates location and science, mapping what is and what can be to create understanding, explore alternatives, find solutions and reach agreement. And I suspect that the reason that many of you are here today is because you too believe that GIS is uniquely transforming when it comes to creating that understanding of complicated and interrelated challenges. And that's why we built ArcGIS. So GIS has evolved. And the evolution of GIS has really been about interconnecting teams inside organizations. In its early days, it was about project level GIS. We had GIS applications on our desktop machine, we had data on our machine, we'd work locally, and we'd create maps and screenshots and share them with other people. It was very much focused on single user, single project. That's evolved into multiple people working together in a department or departmental GIS. Maybe the engineering department had a shared GIS and a shared database where people collaborated. And maybe the environmental department also then had a GIS. GIS would expand across the organization and basically several departments would have GIS. That evolution has happened the evolution that's happened most recently is that organizations are deploying systems. They're thinking about systems and they're thinking about GIS as a system. This system is built on shared web services, it's built on portals and hubs, it's built essentially so people can work together, sharing data, they find new opportunities and new ways to work and to grow together. So ArcGIS has evolved into a system comprised of many of the foundational products. All of you will know these. One of the products obviously is ArcGIS Pro for the desktop users, ArcGIS Enterprise, the powerhouse that's connecting the entire organization with apps and services and data, ArcGIS Online for a SaaS hosted mapping and analysis platform, and the ArcGIS platform for letting developers connect directly to services. Pay as you go, connecting to API keys. The ArcGIS system is also comprised of many products and capabilities. Analysis is available across the system, real-time capabilities, imagery support, video support, and of course, network management and many more. The ArcGIS system is also comprised of powerful capabilities focused on mapping and analytics. That means strong mapping is across the system. That means field operations is supported. GeoAI is becoming more and more important and embedded into apps right across the system. Data science and analysis and data management, real-time visualization, imagery, remote sensing, 3D, these are all capabilities across the system. And what's most important about these powerful capabilities that I just talked about is that they work with your data. GIS is no longer just points and lines and polygons. It's now unstructured data, full motion video, LiDAR, point cloud, imagery, 3D, big data, real-time data, and even graph data sets are being brought into GIS. And the ArcGIS system is a well-architected IT system. It can be deployed in a variety of ways as traditional software that you manage or as SaaS and PaaS. And a well-architected system is going to have multiple tiers. The GIS system has a data tier. You can think of that in a couple of different ways. The data tier is the core informational model we create and we make pretty much available for every industry. We've got data models for electric, gas, water, telco, land management, and so on. Those data models get ingested with your data and then stored in a variety of databases. At the data tier, we can also support the real-time data. We stream it in and we can store it in big data stores. The next tier is the services tier, where the portal lives, where we manage users and content and sharing and app configuration. We have a set of data services and we expose that data tier to the data models and we store them in a traditional database. And we also have a suite of mapping services, visualization services, and analysis services. At the top of the stack is where we and our partners and you as customers develop apps, and we have access to the larger system through APIs. What's most important here is whether or not you're using one of the foundational apps that we talked about, ArcGIS Pro and online and our partner apps, they all come through the system and interact with it in exactly the same way. Now, on the left-hand side is where the ArcGIS system adheres to some of the standard system pillars that every enterprise system will follow. So we support integration, we've got one security system across ArcGIS, we make sure that system can scale, it's reliable, we support automation, and finally observability. So we talked about ArcGIS as a large system, so why did we just talk about all of that? Well, the reason is because most of our customers are experiencing ArcGIS as a business-focused system. Now, there's no one system that's going to use all of those capabilities and all of those applications. You're typically going to experience it as a certain type of system, or maybe multiple systems within your organization. So maybe it's a parcel management system. Maybe it's a vegetation management system. Maybe it's an imagery LiDAR system or a network management system. The important part is that you take all of those foundational products and all of those capabilities and all of your data and build that into a system that supports your business needs. So what does the landscape of business systems within the traditional utility and infrastructure market look like? You'll probably notice, so there's a lot of words on this slide, but this is an example of what an enterprise system is comprised of or could be comprised of in a typical infrastructure or utility organization. Now, you'll probably notice that the network info management system that sits along the bottom here, that is the documentation of the network infrastructure. That data then fuels all of the other business systems that sit above it. Many of our customers, they've got an ArcGIS system that supports operations management or imagery management, or maybe they're using the system for managing all of their mobile operations. And the ArcGIS system, which is in the box kind of at the bottom half of the screen, that ArcGIS system connects with all of the other enterprise business systems. So like SAP maybe for billing and asset management, or Autodesk for BIM, and increasingly it's powering the ADMS and SCADA systems. But for a moment, let's just take that bottom tier. Let's just talk about network information management as a system. So the demands of today's utility kind of demand for a connected network of everything. And here at Esri, over the last decade or so, we've been investing into the capabilities of the platform for network information management. The geometric network data model, which is Esri's previous data model, it needed to be able to cope with higher numbers of features. It needed to be able to support that integrated network model for the entire utility. And that just simply wasn't possible with geometric network technology. So we have been working diligently over the past decade, and we've been pouring well over $100 million into re-engineering how our tools would be able to support a richer data model. And that data model, called the utility network, allows you to achieve advanced network modeling. It models the connectivity of the network. It models all networks, generation, transmission, distribution, and you can look at current, future, and past states. It allows you to carry out advanced visualization and analytics, both of the 2D and of the 3D, and you can see the network schematics. You can carry out connectivity tracing of the network assets. And finally, it's based on a services-orientated architecture on the ArcGIS platform, which is where you can access all of the mobile and all of the desktop applications and extend through REST services, APIs, and SDKs. And there are multiple implementation patterns depending on your business needs. If you need a simple, then you need a level 1, maybe a medium, a level 2, or if you want the full digital twin, which is completely integrated as a network model, then you'll be at level 3. It might not be actually that your business needs to go to level 3. Some of our customers have gone for level 1 and level 2, and then they gradually densify their network model over time. So what are we saying here? Why are we showing these implementation patterns? What we're saying is that Esri's utility network and Esri's modern network management supports your organization no matter what size and what complexity it is. So this new data model is powering enterprise GIS workflows. Let's take a look at some of those. Most of our infrastructure customers actually tell us that around 50%, if not more, of their workforce is field-based. So being able to take the network information out into the field, see an accurate representation of the network, and be able to capture the information and send it back to the business is critical in all phases of the life cycle. And Esri's got many applications to support these, like field maps, survey 123, and quick capture. Operations need data about the network, and ArcGIS plays a critical role in the control room of many of our customers, supporting core operations of the business with workforce management or day-to-day operations, and also with disaster response efforts. So, for example, if a water main breaks and you want to know exactly where it is and how to shut it off and where to send crews, you would use ArcGIS technology for that. And many of your organizations are handling imagery data now because we're seeing increasing amounts of it being collected. The cost of it and the cost of acquiring it is decreasing. Most of the utilities that we work with now, or most of our infrastructure organizations, have drones. So one question I'd ask of you all today is how many of you within your businesses have a central system for cataloging and storing and analyzing and managing that data? It's an area of Esri technology we've made big investments into, and customers are really starting to see how they can create these two true 3D digital twins. ArcGIS also advances asset management. So how are you inspecting your assets? We just talked about drones. Maybe you're doing drone inspections. Maybe there's some hotspot analysis or risk assessments or asset profiling. Our ArcGIS provides that end-to-end asset lifecycle solution. So how does all this look coming together? Well, there's multiple systems running on the ArcGIS platform. You won't probably use all of them, but you could use a variety of them. And ArcGIS provides that way to integrate all of this data into one central place. So let's take a look at some customer success stories from the region. First of all is Energas, which is Spain's gas transmission operator. Now, along their gas network, they run fiber optics for managing that network. They needed a way to be able to document all of those. And then they needed an application for the engineers out in the field so that the engineers could go out and carry out all of their field operations. And they successfully implemented the ArcGIS utility network with ArcGIS Enterprise as a network management system. Now they've got a fully operational digitized model of their fiber network, which is the backbone to their gas network. So I have a question for you all today as well, which is how many of you are running fiber along your infrastructure networks? And what are you using to document and manage those fiber networks? We're seeing an increasing demand for ArcGIS and partner technology like Telco Plus from K&A, which is what was used here. And this is being used for helping to digitize and document and operate the fiber networks of all infrastructure. The next one, we move to water. So Veolia in Bulgaria needed a GIS system that would actually help them to model water, sewer, and electric networks. So they implemented an ArcGIS as a modern network management system. It gave them the ability to model all three of those networks in high fidelity. This meant that because they had the correct fidelity of the data, they could use that as a source of truth for the other enterprise business systems like SAP, the maintenance and asset management system, and the ERP system. It also meant, because they moved to this new modern architecture, that they had access to all of the ArcGIS mobile applications. And so they started to roll those out and utilize those in the field. And finally, we go around the globe. I wanted to mention Energy Queensland in Australia. How many of you are running 2 GIS systems within your organization? So these guys at Energy Queensland, they unified those 2 GIS systems into one, migrated off of Small World onto the utility network. They model both the electric and the communications network. And for the first time, they've got that single source of truth. It's 3D enabled, and it's available for their entire network. This means the generation bit, the transmission, and the distribution. And so now we're moving to conclusion. Hopefully you found some of the information today useful. We would love to continue this discussion with you. And I think Ava may have mentioned this previously, but I would also like to invite you all to Esri's IMGIS conference in Frankfurt. Have any of you attended this before? It's been running in Europe now for 2 years, and it's our flagship infrastructure event. It's been running in America for many years in Palm Springs, but obviously we're in Europe and we want to learn and understand what European counterparts are doing from across the region. So this is a 3-day event, and there'll be over 60 presentations from various different infrastructure organizations: electric, gas, water, telco, AEC, and transportation. And so it's a chance and an opportunity for you to come along and for you to spend time learning about what the other people within the region are doing and how they're utilizing Esri technology. And finally, we also have, so should you be interested in some more information, we have published a new ebook for utilities. It's got, if you can use the QR code, you can download it. It's got over 20 examples from around the globe of network information management. So if you're looking for more understanding, inspiration, it's right there. It's available in that ebook. So that is me complete, and it's been a pleasure to get to talk to you, share some of our vision, talk to you about the investment that Esri's been making in this strategic sector, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you all in Frankfurt. So with that, I will hand back over to Ava.
Thank you very much, Katie.